Making green policies appeal has always been a challenge for politicians, but with the warnings about the state of our climate growing ever more severe, it's a task the government and Labour must confront at the next election. One, though, which is undoubtedly made even harder during a cost of living crisis. Just ask London's mayor. Sadiq Khan's plan to extend the city's ultra low emission zone was today ruled lawful. It expands the area in which people with more polluting vehicles face a daily charge. But that victory has not been without cost for his party. Many within Labour blame ULEZ for their defeat in the recent Uxbridge by-election. And it's meant both them and the Conservatives reconsidering how to address concerns about the climate without losing votes.
Get Khan out! Get Khan out!
It's a controversial policy, to say the least, and protesters today were making it clear how unhappy they are as the courts rejected a challenge from 5 Tory-led councils to stop the expansion of London's ultra-low emission zone.
We do not want ULEZ. It's an undemocratic imposition.
More people will now have to pay £12.50 to drive non-compliant cars around London in an attempt to reduce pollution and improve air quality. It's already had a huge impact on handyman Kane Lever, who's decided with his family to move out of the city altogether. How stressful has it been? Obviously,
massively stressful. Pulling my hair out, stressful. I mean, blood pressure, stressful. I can't trade in this area because of ULEZ. It is as simple as that. If I can't trade, the kids don't get fed. £12.50 a day is an absolute ridiculous charge, and it's a killer to businesses.
ULEZ was the main talking point in the Uxbridge by-election last week, which Labour narrowly lost. And it's caused a split at the top of the party between the London mayor and the national leadership.
This is not about using clean air as a political football. This is about bringing in policies that will support Londoners, make the transition towards a city where our air doesn't lead to around 4,000 premature deaths a year, children having stunted lungs, adults with a whole host of health issues.
But senior figures within the party in Westminster say the mayor needs to reconsider.
Keir Starmer has set out concerns about particularly the impact on cost of living and asked the Mayor of London to look at this again.
And the issue of green policies appears to be becoming a dividing line between the two parties.
I don't have the power to stop this scheme. This scheme, the powers are devolved to the Mayor of London. It's his decision to go ahead with this scheme. Yes, he may have won in court, but just because he's got the power to expand ULEZ across Greater London doesn't mean he should and make life more difficult for people.
But election experts say policies like ULEZ don't need to be so unpopular.
Really, I think the lesson Labour should be taking and any political party should be taking is how to do these things well. How to make sure that they meet people's concerns for environmental protection, for clean air, for climate change mitigation measures, but doing it in a fair, well-communicated and supportive way, particularly in a time of a cost of living crisis.
With the general election looming, keeping voters on side will be key for Labour as they look to steer themselves towards Downing Street.
And Shihab joins me now to talk about all of this. Shihab, amid warnings of a climate emergency and the reality of a cost of living crisis, green policies and how we pay for them are going to be a major issue come the election, aren't they?
Absolutely. It's a balancing act between people having to pay to do certain things and also meeting those requirements. The Uxbridge by-election that took place last week was an indication of how divisive these policies can be. That was about clean air in particular. And having spoken to a number of Tory MPs today, they view that as quite a pivotal moment. It was a dividing line, an opportunity for the Tories to make some ground in a place where they thought they were going to lose the seat. I had one Tory backbencher tell me today that they want to get rid of most of the commitments the government has made just because it makes such a big dividing line. The fact that Keir Starmer's telling his Mayor of London to reconsider tells you that the Labour Party understand that it's not a particularly popular policy. But regardless of who ends up in Downing Street, there are major international commitments that have been made by the government that the UK has pledged to do to get their emissions down. As you say, as we head into the next big general election, given the cost of living crisis, given the fact that green policies are so important, I suspect this is something we're going to be talking quite a bit about.